Hello there, it's TP8017 here, and today we're going to be taking a bit of a look at some different Mac games that came out last month, November 2023. And we've got a few different ones to get through this time. So we've got the most notable ones being Death Must Die, Football Manager 2024, Backpack Hero, and The Witcher 1 and 2. The Witcher 1 and 2, I'll touch on them a bit later, but they recently received an update to make them run on Apple Silicon Macs. So with that said, let's get started with our first little title here. Astral Ascent by Hibernian Workshop. And it's recently launched from early access. It's spent 18 months. Rather a pretty little 2D platformer that's received coverage from quite a few different websites. So let's have a bit of a look at the trailer.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Well then, time to go. The master dies today.
I'm here.
People are counting on me. Out of my way!
Magic's flowing.
Alright, so we'll move on. Now, so that's available on quite a few platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and the Nintendo Switch. Minimum system requirements are Windows 7 64-bit, Intel Core i3, or an AMD Phenom 2 X4965. It's so I'd say that'd be pretty low-end CPUs by now. RAM 2GB or above. GPU Nvidia GeForce GTX 250 or an AMD Radeon HD 5770 and 1GB of free space. Now, Mac and Linux system requirements aren't mentioned, but I would say, honestly, if your system's newer than about 2010, it'll be able to run it. So that's received quite a bit of attention. So our next one is Dune Imperium by Dire Wolf. So this is launched into early access. That's the digital adaptation of the Dune Imperium board game or tabletop game. It'll have a online play and a skirmish mode. And Dire Wolf has had quite a bit of experience with other tabletop-based titles, bringing them over to computers. So that's it.
Arrakis, Dune, the desert planet. Experience the award-winning strategy of Dune Imperium as never before. Take board game battles online with friends or hone your tactics against clever AI opponents. Unique challenges test your ability to adapt and survive. Control the spice. Control the universe in Dune Imperium.
So that's a bit of a shorter little teaser there. So it's available on Windows and Mac. Minimum system requirements are Windows 10 or later. Intel for processor Intel i5 2400, AMD Ryzen 3 2200G. So again, that'd be probably about 2012ish, I would say. RAM 4GB. GPU Intel HD 2000 or AMD Radeon Vega 8, and 2GB of free space. For the Mac, it's macOS 10.15 Catalina with a 64-bit processor, 4GB of RAM, Nvidia GeForce 8600M GT, ATI Radeon HD 2600 Pro, and 2GB of free space. So again, you're looking at a very low system requirements, well, for a minimum anyway. So like I said, about 2012. So that said, next one, Death Must Die by Realm Archive. This is another one that's launched into early access. It's another one of the survival likes, I suppose you could say. They've grown quite popular over the past few years. This one's currently got 3 heroes, a number of items to get, to find, and various blessings and shrines to discover as you fight against Death and his minions. So let's have a bit of a look.
Take our hourglass, hero. Collect your bearings and focus your mind. And enter Death's realm once again.
You really think you can kill Death, though? We don't have a string for him.
What kind of legend would it be without fire and mayhem?
Allow me to interfere as the gods typically do.
I want to see Death's heart encased in a prison of ice.
Death must die.
Rise again, hero. This is not your end.
So that's that one there. It's a little bit of a white border happening there. That's my fault, not the trailer. So that one's available on Windows and Mac. Operating system Windows 7 with an Intel Core i3 3210, about probably 2012ish again, I would say. 4GB of RAM, DirectX 10 compatible GPU, and 3GB of free space. For the Mac side, macOS 11 Big Sur, with a Apple M1 or a Intel Core i3, 4GB of RAM, Intel Iris graphics or later, and 3GB of free space. So if you've got a discrete card, it'll probably be something like a 2013, 14 Mac. If it's integrated, you'd probably be looking at 2016. Or if you've got an M1 Mac, that should be able to run it no problems. I'd be surprised if it had any at all. So that one's received quite a bit of attention. Very pretty little title, that one. Now next one. My notes have decided to, here we go. So, Backpack Hero by Despot. So this one received quite a bit of attention last year. Came out in early access about 14 months ago. So yes, about August last year. Yes, it's a bit of a it's a backpack management title. Over 800 items and 100 enemies to take on. So, received quite a bit of interest. So let's have a bit of a look-see now. So I'll move on just now. Sorry, a bit abrupt there. Sorry. So it's Backpack Hero, available on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Switch. Minimum system requirements are Windows 7, 10, or 11, or Ubuntu 18.04 or CentOS 7. Processors at 1.1 gigahertz. 1 gigabyte of RAM. GPU DirectX 10, 11, or 12, or OpenGL 3.2 or Vulkan, and 250 megabytes of free space. So it's basically, if it's can it run Windows 7, that's basically the main minimum system requirements. It's just similar for Mac. macOS 10.6 Leopard, going back a fair way. That would be 2007, I would say. 1.1 gigahertz processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, Intel HD Graphics 3000, and 250 megabytes of free space. So, yes, I would say, basically, can your Mac run Steam? Would be the best way I could describe the system requirements, minimum system requirements there. So the next one is Loddlenaut by Moon Lagoon. This is a bit of a how do I describe it? It's a bit of a ocean planner title. This one with odd little axolotl creatures acting as Loddles. So let's have a bit of a look-see.
GUP-14 has been left polluted. Your mission as a Loddlenaut is to help restore the planet's luscious ecosystem. But before you depart, are you ready? Here's a summary of what you'll need. The bubble gun. This is your main trusty tool. The bubble gun allows you to zap away goop and collect trash. The scrap vac. Using its suction, the scrap vac is designed to suck in microplastics, which otherwise can't be collected. Later in your adventure, you'll have access to the puddle scrubber, a more relaxed and effective way to remove thick layers of goop from the ground. By recycling the items you collect on your adventure, you'll be able to craft more items and upgrade the items you already have. Remember though, you need to survive this mission. Your oxygen levels will deplete whilst you're cleaning the planet, so be sure to use oxygen rings and bubbles to keep your oxygen levels up. Oh, and we can't forget the cutest creatures in the universe, the Loddles. As you restore the planet, you'll befriend and care for these gorgeous Loddles. You'll feed them, pet them, and love them. Are you ready? Your mission begins today.
Yeah, so that one is Loddlenaut, available for Windows and Mac. Minimum system requirements are Windows 7 Service Pack 1, 1 GHz dual-core processor, 4 GB of RAM, GPU AMD Radeon RX 550, and 3 GB of free space. So, once again, it's basically if it can run Windows 7 and can run Steam, won't have any troubles. Mac system requirements are a little bit higher, but again, still fairly low. macOS 10.12 Sierra, an Apple M1 or a Intel Core M processor, 4 GB of RAM, Intel HD Graphics 5300, and 3 GB of RAM, 3 GB of free space. So it's probably I'd say about 2015 Mac or later. Going by those requirements off the top of my head. Slime 3K Rise Against Despot by Confo Games. This is one launched into early access. A bit of a roguelite survivor-like, where you play as a giant blob that's going on the rampage against the enslaved minions of the tyrannical Despot AI. So this one's a quite interesting little one. So let's have a bit of a yeah, so that's that one there. My apologies for the trailer there, really not working. I didn't show up with my tests, so right. So available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Operating system Windows 7 or Ubuntu 18.04. Processor Intel i7 8700 or a AMD Ryzen 1600. That'd probably be about 2017-ish, going off the top of my head. 4 GB of RAM. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 670, right? AMD Radeon HD 7970. They're quite old graphics cards at the moment. So it'd probably be 2012-ish, I would say, off the top of my head. 1 GB free space. Mac system requirements again a little bit higher. macOS 10.14 Mojave. Apple M1 or Intel 7950H, 4 GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 670 or AMD Radeon HD 7970, and 1 GB of free space. And next one is bzzzt by ko.dll. So it's a interesting little arcade platformer here, where you play as a robot. ZX8000 with different upgrades and mechanics to come across, and online leaderboards as well. So let's have a bit of look-see.
It's been 4 years since Karel Mateka, the solo developer behind the bzzzt game, started this project. We are super excited that the game...
Sorry, that it's just the publisher talking a bit about the developer there. So it's available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Reminds me a bit of Celeste, a bit of Mega Man, to be honest. I've received quite a bit of positive attention. So, system requirements: Windows 7 or Windows 10, or Ubuntu 16.04 or 18.04. GPU DirectX 10, 11, or 12 compatible, and 300 megabytes of free space. On the Mac side, macOS 10.12 Sierra, Metal capable Intel or AMD GPU. So basically about 2014-ish, I would say, off the top of my head, and 300 megabytes of free space. So yeah, be looking at about a 10-year-old system to be able to run it without any trouble, I would say. So, next one, Ratopia by Cassell Games. Sorry, that just a headset. So, charming little title, this one. Yes, so it's based on building your own little city. Got a bit of a tech tree and policies. Basically, building your own underground base, underground city, and surviving various dungeons and the like. It's received a good bit of praise. That one's launched into early access. And Yeah, so it's a bit of a charming little one, this one. So I'll just move on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, after that little boss there. Right, now move on. So that's one that's available for Windows and Mac. Minimum system requirements: Windows 7, 8 or 10, 64-bit, 2.4 GHz processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 512 megabytes for the GPU, and 2 gigabytes of free space. So probably a 2013, 2014 system, I would say. On the Mac side, macOS 10.11 El Capitan, 2.4 GHz processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 512 megabytes for the GPU, and 2 gigabytes of free space. Once again, I would say 2013, 2014 would be able to run it without any real dramas. Now, probably one of the bigger ones here, Football Manager 2024. It's also come across almost under a few different titles as well, depending on the service. There's mobile and arcade, mobile by Netflix, arcade by Apple. So this version here is by, well, they're all by Sports Interactive. I'm not the most familiar with the series, but I know it's been going on for quite a long time. So this one now features the Japanese League, J1, J2 and J3. And it's a soccer simulator. You build your own teams and play against others. Like I said, I'm not the most familiar with it, so I'll just let the trailer do the talking. Now, I have used the Apple Arcade trailer, since the actual trailer they put out is pretty crap. So, Apple Arcade trailer. Okay, so the actual trailer for the well, like I said, I went for the Apple Arcade version of the trailer, since the one they actually put out doesn't actually show any gameplay at all. So I think someone should actually have a gameplay trailer that has gameplay. But okay, so little rant over. So available on Windows and Mac, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, iOS, Android and Switch. Minimum system requirements are Windows 10 or 11 64-bit, Intel Core 2 or AMD Athlon 64 X2. I really don't know my older AMD processors that well, but I would say probably 2011, 12. So 4 gigabytes of RAM, 256 megabytes for the GPU and DirectX 11 support, and 7 gigabytes of free space. On the Mac side, macOS 11, 12 or 13 with a Apple M1 or a Intel Core M processor, 4 gigabytes of 4 gigabytes of RAM, 256 megabytes for the GPU plus Metal support, and 7 gigabytes of free space. So Metal support is basically 2014-ish off the top of my head. So anything after that should be able to run it. Now, we've had a couple that have had some updates. So, first one, Please Fix the Road by Arielek. Came out June last year, based on a browser game from a few years ago. But it received a Mac support with version 1.2. Very pretty little title. I've seen quite a few VTubers playing it. So let's have a bit of a look-see at the. Very pretty one, very pretty. So available on Windows, Mac and Linux. Minimal system requirements. Windows 7, processor 2 GHz dual core, 2 GB of RAM, Intel ESG 620, and 1 GB free space. So very low system requirements. I'd say again 2012, 13. So about 10 years ago. On the Mac side, macOS 10.15, that would be Catalina, Apple M1 or Intel X64 processor, 2 GB of RAM and 1 GB free space. So again, but you'd be looking at, if it can run Catalina, it'll be able to run Please Fix the Road. And a bit of a larger one, this one. The Witcher 1 and 2, these actually came out about 10 years, probably, over 10 years ago, but they received an update last year that allowed them to be played on 64-bit Intel Macs, but they weren't able to be played on the M Series Macs. There was a bit of quite a few complaints about that. CD Projekt Red announced in October that they would be updating the system, the two games once again, to allow them to be played on M Series Macs. So that happened this last month, in November. So it applies to all the App Store, Steam, and GOG, and that applies for both The Witcher and The Witcher 2. You might have them from a pre-giveaway at some point, but they're both pretty good little titles. So let's have a bit of look-see. I went for the Witcher 2 trailer. So I'll just move on. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going with the Witcher 2 system requirements. Now, hopefully I don't get in trouble with with YouTube over that little bit of nudity there, but well, if I do, I do. So, available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. I forgot to add that in. So it's an older title, The Witcher 2. So Windows XP, Vista or 7, Ubuntu 14.04 or Linux Mint 17. Intel 2.2 GHz processor or AMD 2.5 GHz dual core, 2 GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GT 8800 or a AMD Radeon HD 3850, and 25 GB of free space. So it's basically, like I said, it's quite an old system, quite an old title, but you want to have a bit of free space available for it. So the Mac side, the system requirements got increased, so they're now requires minimum of Mac OS 11, 12 or 13, so that would be Big Sur, Monterey or Ventura, off the top of my head, with a Apple M1 or an Intel Core 2 Duo processor, 4 GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GT 650M, AMD Radeon HD 5770 or an Apple M1 GPU, and 25 GB of free space. So, with that, a few honourable mentions. Watermelon game by bzzzt-steam SPCL. It's a bit of a version of the popular soccer game, which is that fruit game. You've probably seen quite a few VTubers and streamers playing. They've been playing the Switch version. This is a version made for Steam on Windows, Mac, Linux. The Elephant Collection by Wonderful Elephant, which is a collection of 10 of the Elephant games, including Achievement Unlocked, and this is the only level. There were the older Flash games from the 2000s and 2010s. Iron Ice by Curious Panda, which is a turn-based tactical RPG, which is not a bad looking little title, published by Humble Games. And Juice Galaxy by Fish Liquor, which it's a free one. It's early access. It's, dear God, I'm really not sure how to describe it, but it's received pretty positive reviews. I'm really not sure how to describe it. It's kind of an open worldish drug trip would be the best way to describe it. So that's what I've covered. So that's what I've been looking at. The popular titles that are coming out in November. And yes, so they've got another video coming out fairly soon. We'll be covering the major or the most popular titles that have come out for the Mac. I want to get that done on the up for the 20th, so a few days time, and give you a bit of a look, see for if you're going to buy a new computer, it might be something large or something small you want to put on it. Hopefully that'll help you guys out. So with that, thank you for watching, and yes, I'll see you in a few days time. So with that, I'll just thank you.